Man, good evening, man. I hope you all are doing well. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Man, the guest I have tonight, Celebrity Saturday, man, Mr. Mark Baker has a ton of stories. I'm sure, hey, shoot your questions because he has a lot of information to get out there for us, man. So no longer ado, I'm going to bring my guy, Mark Baker, to the screen. Bates.
Good evening, Brandon.
Well, hey, how's everything, bro?
As good as it can be. I'll put it that way.
That's good, man. Thank you for coming on, for sharing your story, because I know you have plenty of them.
Well, I mean, that's one of the advantages of being old. If you're old enough and you're still around, you do have a lot of stories.
Oh, you don't look old, so.
How old do you think I am?
Did you really put me on the spot? I want to say you're probably 55.
I just turned 59.
50. Wow.
Yep.
Because I'm kind of trying to compare you to Chris. I'm like, I know Chris just turned 50, so I don't think Bacon's too much older than Chris.
Yep, I'm 9 years older than Chris.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to figure out there. Man, hey, so man, just give me a little insight about yourself. Born and raised here in Southern Cali?
I was actually born in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. My family they worked in some of the stuff to do with the Manhattan Project back in the day. The atomic Oak Ridge is known as the Atomic City, but I moved out to California when I was 6 months old, somewhere there. I was little, 3 months old. Obviously, I don't remember. I grew up. I think we moved out to Long Beach to start. I spent a lot of time in Inglewood, and then when I was 8, we moved to Garden Grove in Orange County, and I've been here pretty much ever since.
Oh, there you go. Any siblings?
I have 2 younger sisters.
How was it growing up with sisters?
I have Suzanne, who lives in Palos Verdes, and I have my sister Nicole, who lives in Burbank.
Okay, growing up with sisters, how was it?
I had great sisters. It was easy. I played sports a lot, so they were coming to my events a lot. The bowling, the basketball, and a lot of baseball. So they were. And my youngest sister is 10 years old, 10 years younger than me. So she, that was easy. My other sister, Suzanne, she was my biggest cheerleader, so we were pretty tight. We still are. So it was easy. I had good sisters. I never had any issues.
There you go. Look, well, I know we all know you bowl, but besides bowling, what other sports did you play growing up?
I played baseball, but I played mostly the thing I liked the most was basketball.
Hey, so that's where Gage gets it from, huh?
Yeah, my father played basketball. He played in University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I played through high school. And my son today, we went out there and put his 100 shots in and his layups. He's actually doing line drills, keeping his wind up. So, well, man, you don't want to come back, and that first practice is going to kill you. So basketball has always been in my family, and it's always probably what I like the most. I still like shooting a ball, watching it go to the net. That, even more than striking, is the one thing I like more than anything else. When the jump shots, not much of a jump shot anymore. A really good set shot. My version of Steph Curry.
Oh man,
those feet aren't getting off the ground too good.
As long as the ball can go through the net, that's all that counts.
That's it. As long as nobody's guarding me, or I don't have to move very fast. Very good.
That's fun. Hey, what age did you start bowling, and who introduced you to the sport of bowling?
I did a little different than most. I mean, this is going to age me pretty quick. I grew up keeping score. I didn't bowl for the first 2 years I was at a bowling center. It was the Garden Grove Boys Club. I played basketball every day in Garden Grove. It was closed on a Friday. So it was on Garden Grove Boulevard, or kind of off of it. And I went down to Champion Lanes. I was just, trying not to get in trouble. My parents were at work. Lady at the front desk, can you keep score? Sure, I can keep score. You want to keep score for the 6 o'clock league? So I keep score, and they give me $8 when they're done, 4-man teams. So now I made $8. She goes, you want to stay and keep score for the late league? Like, you're going to give me $16 to add 10 plus 9. So I did that. And then she goes, come back on Monday. You can do it again. And I kept score double shifts by the time I was 12 till I was 18. So the first 2 years, I just kept score. I didn't bowl at all.
Wow.
So I actually had the money I made. Once I learned how to bowl, all that money went away. Then I was broke every Sunday.
See, that's crazy. And so basically you just kind of fell into the bowling, trying to stay out of trouble.
That was exactly what I was trying to do. Because, back then, it was a lot different lifestyle. My parents worked, and my parents got divorced. My mom worked 6-7 days a week. I was on my own. And when I went to Champion Lanes, the owner was named Fred Rosilli, and I started keeping score. My mom came down and met him, said, can I count on you to give him a ride home? And Fred said, you can count on me to keep him out of trouble. So, I definitely did some dumb things, but Fred would always pull me in the office and give me a talking to. And, if you want to keep hanging out in my bowling center, you can't do what you're doing, or you shouldn't hang out with those guys. So I was very, very fortunate to run into that man. Fred Rosilli was a great guy. And then I started bowling when I was about 14. So I didn't start till really late compared to other kids. But I started when I was 14. I was about 140, 150. And then I grew a bunch one year. I went from 5'3" to about 6'1" between my freshman and sophomore year. And I think the lanes got easier because my average went from 150 to 200 in about a year. So I think the lane machines came around, or people figured out how to do them without making them so hard. And then bowling, I thought it was, compared to basketball, it was so much easier. The pins didn't move. Nobody was guarding me, and nobody was going to hit me in the mouth. So, and then I never got tired because, basketball's tiring and bowling really wasn't. Right. So guys would get tired, and I would just bowl and bowl and bowl and bowl. And the longer we bowled, the better I bowled. So bowling was fun. I mean, I could bowl a lot of, when you weren't supposed to, a lot of action. Long as the game went long enough, I never lost because I wasn't going to get tired. So that's kind of how I got into bowling. It was just something, and I was good at it. I had some people help me, and it just was pretty easy. And then I just got better. And in Southern California, had so many bowlers that were good. We had a ton of guys on the tour. A lot of them bowled at Champion Lane. So I found out how good I had to be pretty quick, and that's kind of how it started.
Wow. Hey, what's your outlook on how you take coaching?
Me personally, I was always very good at taking coaching. I had some coaches that made big differences in my life. Coach Broom was my basketball coach. My dad a lot. A guy named Bill Julian helped me with bowling. All I wanted was they had to make sense. So anybody's taking a lesson from me knows I'll explain everything I want you to do before I ask you to do it. I wasn't very good of coaches just do that because I say so. It makes sense. So if a coach could explain to me why, when a guy shot me how to shoot a jump shot or how to get my shot off, I was 5'3" as a freshman. He explained where my elbow had to go and my trajectory had to change to get it over a guy 6'4". About the fifth or sixth shot I took, I went, oh, this is a whole different world. What else do I have to do? For a guy that showed me how to hit a slider or curve, what my left shoulder should do when the pitch was coming to keep my left shoulder in longer to see the ball longer and I could hit it to right. So coaches that could explain it and then I could do it, then I was always very coachable. The coaches that didn't know what they were doing, I just blew them off. Pretty much how I still live my life.
Wow. Hey, when did you become serious about bowling, and what was the first taste of success that you had?
Bowling the LA Junior All-Stars. That was the best. That was probably the best junior league in the United States. And I didn't qualify to bowl the first year. My average wasn't high enough. So, and I won wasn't a JET. It was another, I can't call it a mini tour or something. I won, and I beat two of the best bowlers, a guy named Ernie Harding and Greg Lewis, two of the best bowlers in Southern California. But I wasn't allowed to bowl the league because my average wasn't high enough. So that immediately put a chip on my shoulder, and I said, I'll show these guys next year. So as the first year bowler as a rookie, I was high average, and the next year I shattered the record. So when I started leading the best juniors pretty much every week, it told me I could bowl. It didn't matter where we bowled, I bowled pretty good. And then, then I joined the PCB, the Professional Coast Bowlers. Right. When I was 18, I joined the PCB, and it didn't take me long to figure out how to beat them.
Wow. That is crazy. What year did you go on tour, and who did you travel with out there?
Let's see. I started bowling at home professionally. We lost a CIF baseball game on a Friday, and I bowled a PCB on a Saturday. So that was in May of '79. I tried the tour in the summer of '80, and by the second or third tournament, I ran into Dave Husted, and I roomed with Dave pretty much my entire career. I had room with Mark Roth for a year, and Joe Hutchinson a little bit, Mike Taylor from San Diego. When Dave's wife would come on tour, I would room with other guys, obviously. But when Dave's wife wasn't on tour, Dave and I were pretty much inseparable for the whole time on tour. And I'd still talk to Dave 3 times a week. Still my best friend in the world. Him and Chris Barnes.
Hey, was there ever a situation where you ripped your pants on a television show?
Nope, never happened on TV. I can tell you exactly how it happened there, Will. It happened Friday night in Miami, where everybody's, it's in all the sport books, the most embarrassing moments of sports. What happened, I had finished 6th, 7th, and 8th the 3 previous weeks, so I had just missed the show. I hadn't won yet. Bowling Friday night in the finals at Don Carter's Kendall Lanes in Miami, Florida. Bowling Don Janello on 3 and 4. I need the first one in the 10th to shoot 260 to beat him, and that's going to put me on the show. I've only made 2 shows, so I was 24-year-old kid, 23.
Right.
So I got the first one in the 10th, and I went down on one knee and came back all excited. Put my foot up on the ball return like we used to back in the old day, and the ball came back, and Don Carter's wife, Paula Carter, tapped me on the shoulder and told me to put my leg down. I said, why? She goes, you have a really white butt. And I was like, what? And she goes, I'm like, and I reached behind me, and I had a tear from the seam to seam of my pants, and I wasn't wearing underwear and didn't know it. So they all, just that group on 3 and 4 saw it. The only time in my entire career I had a pair of pants in the paddock. I walked all the way 72 lane center, went all the way to the paddock, put pants on, came back, threw both shots in the 10th for 279. Then I shot 290 in the position round to go to third. And the next day I ran him over on TV. And what happened was, here's how the story started. Well, it gets better. It gets worse for me. On the TV show, the first shot in the 10th against Joe Salvemini in the semifinal match, I need a strike to win the match or spare. I strike. I went down on one knee like the previous night. Nelson Burton says, hey, it's, he went down, blah, blah, blah. Last night he tore his pants, which is no big deal, but he wasn't wearing underwear. So it happened on Friday night. They said it on TV on Saturday. I'm bowling. I don't hear any of this. And back in the day, there was no internet. So we were in Miami, and if you didn't make the finals in Miami, you left because Miami was expensive. The next stop was St. Louis, and it was a long drive, so guys left. None of us flew. So I win the show, have a good time, blah, blah, blah. Monday, I fly to St. Louis, walk in Tuesday morning. Now I'm a PBA champion for the first time. So I end up beating Bob Hanley the next game. I walk in, and now you're one of the guys. You're one of the crew. You won a title. Right. And nobody's really around. So I asked the guy at the front desk, where's all the guys? Who are you? And I told him my name. He goes, well, they're all waiting on you in the paddock. So now I don't know about the underwear thing yet. So I go walking in the paddock, and on hanging up from the ceiling is about a size pair 80 underwear. And it says Moon over Miami Baker. Because when Nelson said that thing on TV about the underwear, Chris Schenkel said, oh, we had a Moon over Miami? I don't know this. So there's Carmen Salvino, Nelson Burton, and Dick Weber waiting on me in the paddock. So, Carmen Salvino, on our tour, boy, you got to wear drawers. Dick had something made up by the mayor of Florissant, Missouri. It's mandatory to wear underwear while you compete. Oh, it was beautiful. So after that, that's all I heard about for the next 2 years. Never happened on TV, but it did happen. I was bowling Don Janello on 3 and 4.
That is hilarious and embarrassing at the same time.
Well, I've been told easily 10,000 times that I saw your butt on TV. I'm like, no, you actually never did, but it's a good story.
Right.
It didn't happen on TV. It happened Friday night in the finals. It's true.
Hey, Sherry Stingley from up north says, hey, should a person only tour or also have a job if you are not winning out there?
I don't think you can do both, Sherry. If you're going to bowl on tour, that's your job. That's the trickiest mindset that was hardest thing for me the first couple of years. I was on tour enjoying it. And then Earl Anthony told me I needed to start taking it more serious. This is your job. So if you have a job, they don't bowl like I did back in the day, 30, 35 weeks. So I don't know of too many jobs, unless you're self-employed or an entrepreneur or something to do with the internet, where you can have a real job where you can take off 15, 20 weeks a year. So I'm not sure how you could do both. It does make sense because going on tour is hard and there's only X amount of dollars. And, when you go on tour, for you to be successful, that means you have to beat somebody who's already successful. You got to make Belmonte scoot over and Barnes scoot over and Simonson scoot over and Bill O'Neill scoot over. Well, those guys have bills. They're not scooting over easily. That's what people don't realize. Well, this guy's going to go on tour and kill them. I heard that my entire life, how these amateurs were going to come out and kick all our asses. I'm like, well, are you going to tell Ferraro he's not paying the bills this year? Is Voss not going to cash? You're going to beat Albee and Houston? So right. Making it on tour, you got to knock somebody else off the perch. I'm pretty sure that boy down under isn't giving up his title anytime soon. So coming on tour is hard. It really is hard. But anything that's supposed to be good in life is hard, right?
Absolutely.
So having the 2-job thing, it's nice to have a fallback. I guess that would be it.
Hey, Corrine Hampton. Hey, what advice do you have for students while they are waiting to resume bowling?
Excellent. So, and I know Corinne, I know her daughter, Hillary, one of my better students. So the biggest thing I think people aren't considering, bowlers, I've shaken your hand, Brandon, bowlers have ungodly grip strength. We're not even aware of how strong our hands are. So think about it. How much do you bowl normally, Brandon? You? A lot. 3 or 4 times a week?
Yes.
How much have you bowled in the last 60 days?
Not once.
None. So all that grip pressure you have, it's not so much how strong are you, like, how hard are you strong, but think about it. You pick the ball up out of the ball return with one hand. You put it in your stance. You hold it. You push it out. You swing it, and then you pop it on the bottom. And you do that anywhere between 45 and 50 times a day, and you do it 5 days a week. 300, 400, 500 times a week, you're picking up 14, 15, 16 pounds with your hand.
Right.
So your hand has all this natural strength. So what's happened is the muscles get a certain length to them, a certain grip pressure. So what happens then is 2 months off, all those muscles have gotten very, very loose. So when you come back to bowling, what's going to happen? The first time you bowl, the thing that none of us have had running for the last 2 months, none of us have had adrenaline. So when you come back to bowling, it's going to be, everybody says the same thing. I'm going to bowl 2 games. Well, 2 things are going to happen. You're going to shoot 480 or you're going to shoot 320. You're not going to shoot 480. If you bowl bad, you're going to bowl more. If you bowl really good, you're going to bowl even more.
Right.
What's going to happen the next day, your hand's not going to work. Because all that adrenaline and those muscles will work, but the next day when you've stretched out these muscles that haven't been stretched for 3 months, they're going to contract, and the muscles and the receptors are going, what happened? You just threw a 15-pound object 100 times, and it's going to forget about what you did in the past. So I would think people should work on grip strength, doing front curls, but more importantly, you need to do back curls. Because what throws a bowling ball is the back of your hand. When you catch on the bottom, your hand pops back now. So the back of your forearm is how you pick a ball up. You don't pick it up at the front of your forearm. And the back of your hand is that's why bowlers have such great grip strength. It's not that we do curls. When you pick a bowling ball up, these muscles on the back of your hand are super strong in bowlers. Think about when you shake somebody's hand that doesn't bowl. What's the first thing you say? Wow, you got a hell of a grip. We're like, I'm just shaking hands. I'm not trying to squeeze. But we have very, very strong hands as a group. And now we've done nothing for 60 going on pretty close 75 days here coming up, probably 90 before the way it sounds. If we get on lanes by June, we're lucky. That's 75 days. So I would keep doing the stretching, keep working on your core, but I would do something to work on your hand strength. When you come back, you don't have an injury. That's my biggest concern.
Okay. Hey, I'm glad you said that because I ride my bike or do exercises like that. But as far as my hands, absolutely nothing.
Because we take it for granted because you've been bowling for, a decade or 2 decades and your hands have gotten appreciably stronger. I mean, what else in life do you pick up with 15, 16, 14 pounds with your fingertips and your thumb? Nothing in life you pick up with just your tips. You're in that right there on that thumb, that callus right there. Right. If you're grabbing a ball, it's really, you don't have a lot of grip pressure in here. You shouldn't. It should just be there and there. Right. You're holding on like that, and then you snap it on the bottom to put something on it, and you're just all those muscles contract both ways, and you stop doing it for 75 days. You're just going to overstretch them, and this tendon right here, there we go, that tendon right there. Yeah. If I would take a week or 2 off from the tour, and I try to bowl again the next day, I couldn't shave the next day. I would get that tendon to get too stretched, and all of a sudden, that's what would happen. So I would be more concerned about your grip pressure or anything else.
Hey, there you go. How long did it take to adjust when you were out on tour?
Adjust to what? Being on tour or bowling good?
Bowling good. To start really getting the fundamentally sound and being consistent out there.
Oh, I don't know if I ever got there. I mean, I had a 2.5 year window. I was really good. All of 84, all of 85, half 86. I was top 4 or 5 in the world. I made 50 finals and 70 events and 18 shows or something stupid. I was really good those 3 years. It took me 2 years to figure it out. A lot of it wasn't the bowling part. I figured that out pretty quick. I mean, only 2 things happen when you go on tour. You get better or you get worse. You don't stay the same. And so I realized I had to get more accurate. I realized that my bad shots had to get better. When you get to bowling, I mean, Roth was in his heyday, and Holman and Wayne Webb. And my first couple years on tour, Earl Anthony was player of the year. So I got to watch the man in person. He did hit his target. He did hit the pocket 90% of the time. But to watch somebody that good, you realize I'm hitting it 8 times a game. He's hitting it 10. My misses are getting 6. His misses are getting 9. I'm never beating this guy. So you learn to go a little straighter. You learn to control it. But you learn that the first 3 games, we had a lot of games of qualifying. You had to learn to pace yourself, not burn all your energy early. Like the first 6 games were pretty much, after a while, you realize the first 6 games were practice of the tournament. You couldn't win the first. You could get yourself where you couldn't cash. So the first 6, you wanted to be in the top 60. That night, you would make a move, and then the Thursday, you figured out if you could bowl or not. Thursday was cash day. And you bowl when the heat's on. When you know the number with 3 to go, can you shoot 680 when you're even? I got really good at making the finals with 3 games to go. So it took me about 2 years. My third year on tour, I won. And then I was in the top 10 money winners the next 3 years. And then I stayed in the top 20 the rest of my career.
Okay. As far as you coaching, I know you got Gage, and I've seen you and Gage interact as far as bowling. How do you keep Gage calm when he doesn't get the success on the lanes that he's looking for?
I don't. So far, I failed at that. All I can say about that is, I mean, sometimes I get, because he's my son, I wish I could treat him like I do a lesson. I would never get mad at a lesson. And because he's my son and I want him to do well and he wants to do well, sometimes I know I could do better as a dad. But then he's going to ask me as a coach, and I tell him the truth. And sometimes the truth comes across a little harsh. There's a reason why I tend not to coach people under the age of 12. And for one, it's hard for a little guy to have mental acuity to concentrate for an hour. That's why classes are short. So as they get to like 13, 14, 15, for one, the lessons become easier because the kid wants a lesson, not the parents. So in the beginning, I tend not to coach very many kids under the age of 12. It's just hard. A lot of the kids, they want to get better, but they rather, like Gage, he has the most fun with his friends. Hey, Daddy, just let me bowl today and be dad. Don't be the coach. Okay. And then, it's a sports shot, so the ball's just going freaking everywhere.
Right.
Daddy, you know what? Well, you can't hit third air on this shot, and the next one can't go in the right gutter. Somewhere in the middle, you got to throw it. So I try to be. Lately, before he got hurt, before the coronavirus took over, I was just being the dad, letting him. The two-handed thing was kind of cool. Dude, you're going to take you 6 months to figure it out. Go bowl, because I don't pay the mortgage on his bowling score.
Right.
I wish my parents knew that. You don't pay the bills on what your kids bowl. I go to the JBTs, and I tend to stay in the back, or JTs. I don't enter. I never say who I am or what I've done. And 99% of people I coach have no idea I ever bowled. So they always tell me how things work. I'm like, I was pretty good at this once. I know how this all works. So odds are traded to be. I mean, I fail at it, but I'm working at it to let Gage have more fun. That's what I want him to do. I want him to have fun. If he knocks him down, he knocks him down.
Right. There you go. Let's see. We got another question here. Will is the funniest guy I know. Look, which is a greater thrill, winning a title or being on Bowtie television? That guy.
Man, that's a tough one, Will. I don't know. I mean, I can't wait till I get that check from Brandon. When that check for $27,000 shows up next week, I'll say the Bowtie show.
Hey.
Winning on tour was, winning on tour is pretty special. I mean, I wish I would have enjoyed it more when I did it on tour, so I could enjoy it. It's like I look on it now, like, wow, we always thought it wasn't good enough. You were never good enough. Right. And now that I'm done, I realized I was pretty good. I wish I'd enjoyed it more, but I kept comparing myself to Holman and Roth or Houston or Boss or Albee, because you're doing okay, but there's always somebody doing a little bit better than you. Yeah. So you don't think you're successful unless you're as good as them. So the winning on TV was, it's hard to replace. It was pretty damn cool.
There you go. Hey, traveling across the country, what is your assessment of talent of the players across the country? Where were the best bowlers coming from?
I think that's changed a little bit now, Dewan. Back when I bowled, that would be an easy question. That was easy. The guys back east. The dudes from the East Coast were the best, and the guys from Texas. It was more about where you were from, told me where you were going to play the lane. The guys from the South region like playing the gutter. I mean, one. Guppy Troop and those guys, Jeff Edens. They like to play one. I mean, one board. Then the guys from Texas like to bowl action. The guys from Texas just couldn't get enough. The guys from the East Coast, when the lanes got really hard, Berardi and Roth and Petraglia and Don Janello were going to be on the top 24 every time. When lanes were a track house, when you bowled on the track houses, the guys from St. Louis were going to dominate. When there was a lot of oil and there was hold, Southern California was unbeatable. We grew up on oil and hold. So we were always trying to find hold. The guys from back east were always trying to find hook. So the lane condition kind of determined what group was going to bowl well. Then you had the guys that didn't really matter. Wayne Webb was way better, everybody thinks. Wayne's one of the top nut bowlers I've ever seen in my life. He could bowl on anything. Pete Weber, that took about a week to figure out Pete was good. Brian Voss might have bowled 3 weeks on tour. We all went, oh, my God, who's that guy? I mean, he was just going to make it. Dave Houston, Mike Albee, and Dave Ferraro. And, there were Ron Palombi and Tom Kreitz, Randy Pedersen, the guys I bowled against. There was a hell of a crew of good bowlers out there. it makes me look back on it now going, how do I ever make a living? 'Cause I see these guys as being really good. So, 'cause I don't ever watch my old bowling shows. I just, most of them end up in a loss. So there's not really, I still lose the Holman and the Firestone. So I keep watching it over and over.
Hey, Sherry Stingley asks, hey, what do you think about women bowling on the men's tour? There has been a winner. What's your real opinion about
it? Kelly won. I do know that, fine. I mean, I guess they have now that they have their own tour, that's kind of how you separate it out. They have their own tour. And when there wasn't a tour, I thought it's fine for them to bowl. The men don't care if they bowl. They could care less. It's just another entry.
Right.
Kelly won. That was a big deal. She put it on him and she bowled great. And there was nobody gives her a title. Kelly, that was a big, big, big deal in our sport or any sport when Kelly won.
Who did she beat?
That's cool. I mean, I don't think the guys, we want entries. You can't have tournaments unless you have people that show up. So if 20 women want to bowl on tour, I don't think the men care.
Who did Kelly beat for that title?
The guy I coach. Both guys I coached that day. By that time, I'd already started working with Mika. And then she beat Mika in the semifinals, and then she beat Barnes in the finals. That was a rough day for me.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was, yeah.
But she outbowled them all. She outbowled them. I mean, it's 10 pins and you and 10 frames, so you get after it. Was lofting the ball as prevalent as no. No, the lofting that these guys do now, I don't remember any of us doing that. Here's a different, Jonathan. So here's the whole difference in our game now, what happened. So I bowled on tour, you bowled A squad, a B squad, an A squad, and a B squad. So there were 24 games bowled every day on the same set of lanes. We oiled them once. So we started in the morning and we would play out. And when you started, if you were on B squad and when you started your second six, you would be at fourth arrow. The last 2 or 3 games of B squad would get into fifth, sixth arrow. I never took a 3-step approach. I drifted left, so getting around the ball return wasn't a big deal. So we would break the lanes down from first arrow to fifth arrow in about 20 games. The last time I was at a tour stop was the Players Championship in Columbus, and I was watching the practice session, and it was Marshall Kent, Jason Belmonte, and EJ Tackett. They're just happened to be on the same pair warming up in their practice session. So I got my phone out and I timed it. They all played first arrow to warm up. At minute 27, they were playing fifth arrow. That's the difference. Wow. The rev rates, the balls, the synthetic lanes. The balls are so, think about it. What everybody uses for a spare ball, I use for a strike ball on my shows. I made shows with white dots and yellow dots to start before the angle came out. So everybody uses for their spare ball that doesn't hook. I was making it hook from fifth arrow and getting it back.
Right.
So now when you do a Kegel machine or a Brunswick, there's between 20. If there's less than 20 units, it's not much oil, right?
Right.
We oil them with a bug sprayer. A mist. 5 ounces, 5 milliliters of oil on them, and we bowl on them all day. So wow. It was different. And the average rev rate in my day was nothing. Like I used to get on it. I would say in my prime, when I was catching it all, I was in the top 10% on tour. My rev rate might have been 425. And I got a handful. When I went on tour, the average rev rate was 250. The guys that had, really, really successful Hall of Fame careers. The Roy Buckley's and the Gary Dickinsons and the George Pappases. They might have been at 300. I was at 425. Nobody had a big rev rate till like Jimmy Keith came on tour or Bob Hanley he got a handful of it. But I bet you I was at 420, 450. I had when Tommy Jones whiffs it and throws it terrible. That was my egg.
Oh, wow.
So the rev rates have changed a lot. So, when is a Camp Bakes making a Southern California appearance? And no, there is no discount for anybody. I am a capitalist, even though that's a bad thing sometimes. I am a capitalist. There's a reason why Camp Bakes doesn't happen in Southern California. You couldn't afford the camp. At camp, Camp Bakes I run twice a year in Las Vegas. It's at Sunset Station for we've had 33 camps. I canceled both camps in May. I've rescheduled both camps in October. Some of the bowlers in May rescheduled. The hotel's in one place. I can get to the food in one place, and the bowling center's in the same place. And so what it costs for lineage, what it costs for food and a hotel rate, I'm not going to get a $55 a night hotel rate at Fountain Bowl. there's no way to feed 45 people quickly exactly the way they want it. People
Right.
are very particular about their food. Having access to 24 lanes, a giant conference room, and people like coming to Vegas.
Yeah.
People from back east, the Midwest, other countries. I mean, there's always something to do. So, I mean, I do the clinics with Barnes and my own at in Southern California, but I don't ever see a camp bake. Then I'd have to pay for all the coaches' rooms would be tricky, and then I have to get rental cars for everybody. Vegas, they fly in, I go pick them up, and I drive them back. So we don't have to get rental cars. Some of the coaches actually live in Las Vegas. Barry and I can drive. So financially, it just would be untenable to do it anywhere else but Las Vegas.
Yeah. Hey, Dwan asks, where do you think you could have gone career-wise if you not had your injury?
That's a good question, Dwan. I really don't know. That's a good question. I was 29 when I had my back one out, and I ended up having back surgery a couple months later. I messed up a disc, and I had to have major back surgery and basically ended my career.
Right.
I don't know where my career would have gone. I'm not sure. When the reactive resins came out, I didn't do real well with that. I could always make my ball hook. And then reactive resins came out, and then all of a sudden my ball hooked where I didn't want it to hook, or
Right.
it didn't hook. So I don't know if I'd have spent the 2 years learning how to bowl again. I wasn't real good at getting beat by guys that I had kicked their ass for the last 8 years. And all of a sudden, I have no problem getting beat by anybody.
Right.
But I was a jock. So being a jock was all of a sudden a guy could beat me in one-on-one in basketball that couldn't beat me the last 8 years, but he didn't work on his own game. His basketball got smaller and went through the hoop easier.
Yeah.
So bowling, I mean, I'm taking this personal. All of a sudden, guys' balls on tour hit as hard as mine, but they didn't do anything to earn it. So I pretty much took 3 years off. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to sit around and complain. I'm not going to be that old guy that I used to be good. But all of a sudden, a guy like Corey Pavin, who hit it 260 off the tee, started hitting it farther than Freddie Couples off the tee, but he didn't work on his game. The ball made the difference. That did not, for me personally, that ruined my career. And there were a lot of guys that didn't do well with reactive. Ron Palambi, Tom Christ, Dave Ferraro, Tony Westlake. Those guys didn't all get bad overnight.
Right.
They just all of a sudden quit the tour.
So that's
some
crazy.
guys, Norm Duke had one title for reactive resins come out. They always make fun of poor Walter. Walter had been player of the year. Norm had one title. Hell of a bowler. Nobody wanted to bowl Norm action. But Norm wasn't a top 20 player on tour yet. He wasn't a top 10 guy. And the reactive resin came out. Now give Norm credit. He figured out how to do it. And Norm basically turned into the same guy we thought he would be. We'd always do the same thing. Why does Norm bowl so good in action, but he doesn't bowl so good in the tournament? If he ever could figure out how to bowl the tournament like he bowls action, he'd never lose. Obviously, Norm figured it out. So I'm not sure my career would have gotten a whole lot better.
No. So if you take some of these guys, Chris Barnes, Stewie, they on here looking now, and put them into where you in your shoes back in the day, how do you think they will rate?
It'd kill us.
Why?
They'd dominate. Because of the sport shots, they're much more accurate. So they're very, very accurate. And they have a rev rate higher than all of us. And I got news for you. Some of these guys' spare games were better than the guys in my day. The best spare shooter in my era was Joey Berardi. I think they would have no problem. Then again, if you put Don Johnson, he was 18 years old, and you put him in today's world, Don Johnson would figure out how to win. Dick Weber would have no problem being a top 10 player. The best guys can always figure out, if Jerry West was born today, Jerry West would be in the NBA somewhere. He'd be giving Steph Curry all he wanted with him, 6'8" arms. He would be stopping some of Steph's shots. So I think the guys of this era would be just fine in my era. It was a different world because our rev rates are so low and their rev rates got so high. So I only see him with all this rev rate and accuracy. Nobody really had that but Holman. Holman was the only guy that could really hit what he was looking and have the rev rate that high, and he was the best bowler. Roth was just different than everybody else. Yeah. But I think the guys in every era, they had done just fine. But they had no problems. Tommy Jones would have had no problem beating me. Put it that way.
Hey, Greg Thompson Jr. said, is being a tall guy an advantage or disadvantage?
Well, first you got to define tall. I'm tall. Greg's really tall. I think I'll answer this for Greg. Will make sense. Greg, when you're as tall as you are, what do you get with a lot of height? You get long levers. So all Greg's ever been told his entire life is quit throwing it so hard and quit trying to hook it so much and play farther right. when your levers are as long as Gregory Thompson's,
Yeah.
he throws it down there without really trying. He plants his foot to take some pressure off it. He still throws it 19 miles an hour, rev rate of 500. But him going straight is never going to happen. Him playing right a third arrow is not his favorite. So when the lanes really, really hook or the lanes are really, really hard, huge advantage to be tall. When there's a lot of oil, not an advantage to be tall. Because my ball has never hooked early a shot in my life. I hear that all the time. What do you do when the lanes hook early? I don't know. I bowled 300 tour events and never did once. I was tall and I was strong, used my legs. My ball never saw the first 30 feet. I was always trying to get my ball to hook. Because when I bowled on tour, they hook so much. If I'd come home, my ball wouldn't hook because there was so much oil.
Right.
So my height and the length of my levers and my strength, I could always throw it pretty hard. And I got around it. So lanes never hooked early for Greg and I. It hooked, so now it's a different world. So being tall, I wouldn't consider it an advantage. The tall guys that have made it on tour have all been really, really good. The Steve Cooks, the Gary Dickinsons, the Mikas, the guys that were tall that make it 10 years, all tend to go in the Hall of Fame.
Now, like Wes Malott, I see his head down like at the foul line. Like, how is that possible?
He looks about 3 different places.
Okay.
I work with Wes a couple times, and I filmed him from the front down lane. He looks down lane, he looks up. Wes is moving his eyes quite a bit. He's not keeping him in one spot. He's seeing where he wants it to go, and he's seeing where he's going to slide, and he's drawing that line. The only person I know that's really, really good at it is Liz Johnson. She actually looks down the whole time, and she kind of has a different way of doing it. She's the best I've ever seen at it. It's very hard for me to coach because I can't do it. I'm so tall, if I look at the foul line, try to throw the ball, I'm going to break my thumb. The ball, I'm just going to throw it down the lane. I've never been able to do that, so I've never really coached it. I'd rather, at least look at the dots or the arrows, because now what happens? Everybody says the lanes hook early, so the last thing you want your ball to do is pick up early.
Right.
Because the balls are so strong. So looking longer, using the rangefinders has become more of a prevalent thing now than, But people still look at the fouling. It's just a different way of doing it.
Okay. Hey, what's the difference between a good coach and a great coach?
I don't know. I mean, that's a weird question. How do I answer that without sounding like a complete asshole? I mean, sorry.
Hey, because you have these people that feel that they can coach, and then they tell you something, 1 or 2 shots work, and then you're like, well, shit, you just told me that, and now completely it's gone. But then you come in and say, hey, Brandon, this, and this, and now all of a sudden the ball's coming off my hand better. It's doing this. So what's really like? How do you consider somebody that's really coaching you good, or you coaching you like, hey, yeah, he knows what he's talking about?
Okay, I can only go by my experience. So here we go. Now I don't know where I fit. I mean, obviously my track record's pretty good. I got a lot of successful guys on tour. I've had a lot of successful people that don't bowl on tour. So I know I can coach, and that's not being braggadocio. That's not that that's what I do for a living. I don't do anything else for a living but coach. So there's 2 types of coaches. I'm a bowler's coach. And some people are coach's coach. They're the center of attention. They're that thing. I'm a bowler's coach. I always sit down if you notice when I give lessons, I tend to sit down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is I'm so big. Especially if I give a lesson to a female, I'm 6'4", 275. If I stand next to somebody 5'4", 140 or 120 or 110, I dominate her. So I sit down so I can listen better. I try to get out of the way as much as possible. A lot of anything you do, you have to do a lot. That Malcolm Gladwell book, the 10,000 hours. Yeah. I have my 10,000 hours in as a coach. So I guess the big advantage is there's no style I see that I haven't seen before. Nobody surprises me anymore. But I had to put all that work in to get there. I mean, it just didn't happen overnight. Being a good bowler, is that a requisite for being a good coach? I don't know about that. There's been a lot of good coaches who weren't very good bowlers. It didn't hurt me. There's no situation you're going to be in that I haven't been in. I mean, Chris gets on TV more than I ever did, or Tommy does. But I understand what happens on TV. I understand how to make TV. I made a bunch of shows. So I coach for a living. So on my tax return, I put down bowling coach. So I don't give an occasional lesson.
There you go, because you do a lot of lessons every year for sure. I know that.
Well, there's my buddy chiming in right there. How many other guys have? There you go. That's about right. Between you. So I've seen a lot of it, and I've and to make it this long as a coach, 10, 11 years doing it full time, and my numbers keep getting bigger.
Right.
Something has to be going pretty well. I do like to explain it. I do study it. I do work on becoming. I don't want to get where I just say the same thing over and over. I do try to change up how I see it, and I try to get better as a coach. So my whole livelihood's based on it. So I love it. So I was very lucky to throw strikes for a living, and now I'm lucky to give lessons for a living. I don't know how to define a great coach or a good coach. I mean, the best coach is the last person that helped you strike. So if I can help more people strike, I'll always have a job. As long as we have bowling centers to go back to.
Hey, can an uncoachable player become coachable?
Yeah, the guy that just came on there, Chris Barnes. No, he's actually very easy to coach. No. Now, if you want to coach Chris Barnes, you better bring your A game. I mean, everybody's different. That's part of what I mean by that is if you tell Chris to do something, you better know why you're telling him it, because he is going to question everything you do. And the questions are really, really good. I mean, the questions are exact. You want me to do this, so my ball will do that. Why am I doing this instead? So to give a guy at that level a lesson, before he'll do anything, it has to make sense to him mentally to do it. So he helped me become a better coach, because most people just would do it because I said so. So I got better at that. I mean, the person that helped me become a better coach was my Uncle Don. My Uncle Donnie is a electrical engineer, lives in Ventura, used to hang out at Buena Lanes. He would just show up in a T-shirt. You would never know that the guy was super, super successful. And he would watch me coach. We'd get done and go to lunch at some place that had tri-tip down the road in Oxnard. And he'd say the same thing every time. You're not going to make it as a coach. You got to get better. What does that mean? He goes, you got to learn to coach engineers. I'm like, Donnie, nobody likes coaching engineers. Why? He goes, you ask too many questions. So once I learned how to coach engineers and really, really explain what I wanted you to do, and it made sense to you, then my lessons really picked up. So I've worked very hard at being understandable. I mean, it's easy for me. I always averaged 220. I mean, it wasn't, bowling was easy. I can't take that approach to people that I coach. So how I look at it, my secret is whatever level you are, say your average is 161, I will talk to you like I average 162. If you average 105, I'm going to average 106. If you average 230, I'll talk to you like I average 231. So I change my vocabulary to match your skill sets. Instead of getting you to change your way of hearing bowling to match me, you won't have a very high retention rate. And what I do for a living, it's based on retention. So I will adapt myself to the player. So it has to make sense to you, because I'm not the one throwing the ball anymore. You're the one throwing it until you go, okay, that makes sense. And then you do it, and then you walk back like, hey, that felt pretty good. That's exactly what I want to happen. So then all of a sudden, you and I are on the same page. That's the fun part for me coaching, is finding that moment when you and I are talking the same language. And everybody you coach is different.
Yeah. So this is weird, because I watch, all the sports, and you got some young coaches out there. How hard is it to coach a professional player opposed to coaching amateurs?
Pros are much, much easier and way harder at the same time, because for one, I don't coach the pros every day. So the first 15, 20 minutes I watch, say before when I work with a Bill O'Neill, the first 20 minutes, Bill would bowl, I would be in awe. Like, wow, this guy's really good. The hell's his problem? Now, 2 or 3 hours into it, I'm like, okay, now I can see all the misses. So pros are so good that the tweaks are so small. Because if the tweaks were big, they wouldn't be on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Amateurs are actually a little bit easier to coach, because for one, they don't do it for a living, so they're not quite as intense. And number two, it's it's easier, I think. The pros are easier once they figure it out, because they can do what they can do the thing with their body you ask them to do. They can do it quicker. And amateurs are it depends on what skill level. I mean, everybody's, some people, I spend the most of my time between 170 and 205. Most bowlers in that area take a lot of lessons. I don't really have bad lessons much anymore. If you explain it and you're nice and have fun, that lesson good. I don't think one's harder than the other. I don't spend. Yeah.
Hey, Duane asks,
speaking engagements. Do I have any? Are they paid gigs? I'm sorry. I've known Duane since 1977. I knew Dwan when he was a bowler, not the guy in charge. So he was always acting like he was in charge, but now he really is in charge. Sure. I mean, as you can tell, I have no problem talking.
Hey, that's
I'm
okay.
not sure what I was talking about. I just make things up as I go along.
Let's see. Do you miss bowling alleys that are gone in Orange County?
Brandon and I were talking about that before we came on air. Steve Foskett, you grew up on Dean Ann Place in Garden Grove, California. You lived on the corner. So, yep, I remember Steve. We were kids on the same street. Of course, I miss all the centers in Orange County. I always miss Champion Lanes and Garden Square, Maple Lanes. I was telling Brandon, in Orange County, when I was in juniors, the late 70s, there were 37 centers in Orange County. I think now we're down to 9. So if there's more centers, I could have more places to go to work. With more centers, you can have more bowlers. When you condense the amount of centers, you're going to lose bowlers because bowling really is the people that bowl for a living will go anywhere. But the average person wants to bowl either 2 places, where they live or where they work.
Yep.
So when you get rid of centers, like when they got rid of Tustin, and then we live in Southern California, so traffic is, the real deal here. So because it's where it is on the 55 and the 405 and the 91, if you were on the other side of the 91, north of it, you weren't going south to get to Tustin at 6 o'clock. You physically can't get there. If you live in South Orange County, it's hard to get to Fountain Bowl on the 405 at 5:30 every day. So yeah, I do miss the centers. I do miss them. There were some unique centers. It was a blast.
Yeah. Hey, being a coach on Team USA, how much coaching is really needed out there?
You do the coaching on the Team USA at the camps. You come to camp and it's a bunch of guys or a bunch of girls. I've done both now for 3 years. I've had a lot of success with that. I really do enjoy that week, the coaching. You get to know them, and everybody, like anybody, everybody's a little bit different. So some of them come to camp throwing it really, really, really good. EJ Tackett came to camp one time throwing as good as I've ever seen anybody throw a ball. I just film it and tell you it. We work on it. Now, some people come to camp and they're struggling, so you spend a lot of time with them. I spent a lot of success with Matt Russo, the left-handed kid he lives in Illinois now, or Missouri, Illinois. So Matt and I spent a lot of time together at one camp. I've had good luck with Perry Crowell, a couple other guys. So it depends on what they're doing when they get to camp. Like I've been to the women's camp, and both times I was there, Shannon O'Keefe and Danielle McEwen were fighting it out for Player of the Year. I mean, you watch them throw about 10 shots, you just know to keep your mouth shut. Like, wow, this is really good.
Right.
You need to stay away from that because they're throwing it really, really good. I've had a lot. I've worked with Missy Park in there. I've worked with Jordan Richards. Had a great time. I mean, all the girls. I've had a great time with Liz Culkin. So it's really fun to go to camp and see who you get to work with, people that you don't know on a normal basis. So at the camp, we really get to tear down games and work on it. And then there's more than one coach, and the players find that coach they gel with, or how you say it makes sense to them. And then at the tournaments, you're really talking about ball changes and lane changes and keeping them up, keeping them. A lot of times the bowlers want to know the scores. I mean, you'd be surprised how well they want to know. They don't want to know the score, but they kind of want to know the score, especially when you're bowling for medals and they're only giving out 3.
Right.
Finishing 8 doesn't do you any good.
Man.
The Team USA experience has been amazing.
There you go. Hey, Greg Thompson Jr. asks, what's the biggest difference between the 50 best bowlers on tour and the top 5 bowlers on tour?
Somewhat skill level, Gregory, but I'd say two things. Number one, confidence. You're a top 5 player in the world. You're not lacking confidence. I'd say the biggest difference from the really, really good bowlers that I've been around is their ability to tear their game apart and put it back together in 10 frames. The really, really Norm Duke gets lost. You can see Norm down there figuring out Norm in about 5 frames. And those 5 frames might all be flat 10s. And it doesn't phase Norm at all. He's doing something in the middle of a game to get back to what he wants. And he sees what he's doing, leave those flat 10s, and then he shoots 270, 270. The top 5 guys, Belmonte, you can see where Jason knows certain games aren't there. He finds a way to shoot 180, 190, and then he shoots 550. So their confidence and their ability to understand themselves, and they don't panic. I mean, this is the kid that's really making the move now. This Anthony Simonson. He's the real deal. He doesn't seem to panic. He's always got a chance at the end, and he is not afraid to throw it for all the money. So those guys, it's self-confidence and understanding their own game. And that's, I think, the biggest, I think that's the biggest strength of the skill level is not that much difference. I mean, well, maybe the top five guys are always the top. I mean, they're not. If you go to a tournament and you don't know much about bowling and you walk around, it's not hard to figure out who the dude is.
You're right.
All you get to close your eyes. Whose ball sounds the best? When you listen to Mark Ross ball hit, it sounded different from everybody else's. Like going to a baseball game. I went to the Mets games a lot when I had a friend that played for the Mets. And when you would go in to listen to spring training I went to one year, he goes, just turn around, don't watch him hit, and you'll know who Darryl Strawberry is. And then it was guys that were good. It was Keith Hernandez and Kevin Mitchell and all these guys that Howard Johnson. And then you heard this whack, like, oh, that's Darryl. Darryl's bat made the ball sound different. When you go to a tournament and Belmonte's ball hits, or Osku's ball or Dom Barrett's ball, like Dom Barrett throws a really heavy ball. When they hit, it just sounds different.
It's funny you say that because somebody was like, why do you throw the ball so hard? Because your ball don't sound like my ball. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, the speed has gotten higher on the pros in the last 10, 12 years because of how much they hook. The easiest way to control hook is with speed because you're not giving up rev rate. There's no coming on tour with a 220 rev rate. I'm just going to be really accurate, make my spares. Right. All those guys can make spares. Belmonte's a good spare shooter. So you need to bring something. So, the speed controls the hook. So that's why the ball speeds are so much compared to my era. They throw it about 2 miles an hour faster than we did. If I threw the ball as hard as some of the guys, Tommy Jones, my ball never would have hooked. It just would have gone straight. So they're throwing it hard to control the hook and where it hooks. So their speed control is a little better than ours, and their average speed and rev rates are much higher, and their accuracy isn't any less. Because now they do sport shots, where they put down a certain condition. Right. We just bowl on whatever they put down. Yeah.
And like you said, that between that going back to your Greg's question with the 50 and the top five, I've seen it personally, firsthand. When Chris Barnes was playing one part of the lane and he didn't like that ball reaction, he went to the bag, grabbed something else, and moved like 10 boards left. And I said, what the hell just happened? And boom. So trust me, I seen it. Thanks, Chris.
This group does that more than my group did. We never made those wholesale. We never moved 20. Our grouping was much closer. The guy that threw it straight and the guy that hooked it was 5, 6, 7 boards. Now you got Norm over here and you got Belmonte. One at 7 board and one at 27 board. We didn't have that big of a gap. So the guys know their equipment better and they're not afraid. These guys are not afraid to move. They'll make giant moves like that. That's different. In my day, shooting 2-0 clean was okay. Now shooting 2-0 clean, the earth might spin off its axis, right, Chris? So they don't shoot on 2-0 cleans. They leave 2 or 3 flat 10s.
Yes, Spanky. That's when he beat me. When I sat there and watched him strike and pick up the 210, I don't know how many times. Yes, that part. That guy. Hey, she's Sherry Stingley asks, is quiet a rule on Pro Tour? I mean, why don't they bowl with music and noise like league?
They did for a while. I mean, I don't think it's a rule. I have no idea. When I went on tour, when you bowl league or when you bowl tournaments, it's pretty loud. I mean, there's 100 guys bowling the same squad or 60. The machines are all running. The only place it was tricky for me was on TV. Because when you stand up the first time you bowl on TV and the little red light on the camera says it's your turn, and you stand up there, you can actually hear the machines going, the pins going up. You never hear that when you're bowling. So the first couple times on TV when it's nobody else in the entire – so you can actually hear your feet on the approach. That took a while to get used to. But I know for a while they played music on the thing. I don't know why. Who knows? I'm not in charge of I don't have anything to do with running of the PBA. And I think they've tried it all. I'm not sure what they come up with. Whatever they have is, the bowlers don't care. I know the pros don't care. Right. As long as they're on TV and they're getting paid, they'll do whatever you want.
Hey, what will one leave with if they attend Camp Bake seminar?
They'll get 3.5 days of the most fun in bowling they've ever had. It's there's 6 coaches, myself, another guy that does the balls. You get 3 balls, you get 8 meals. We work on everything. We work on the physical game, the spare game, the mental game. We have a presentation on equipment. You get 3 different balls at camp. We cover everything. And you'll have the biggest thing, I think, of all the comments I get when I do the surveys at the end of camp. There's 36 other 35 if you're the 36th person. There's 36 bowlers at camp that love it, that love bowling as much as you do. So it's very, very positive. People are up. You'll get put into a grouping by your skill set. You rotate through all the coaches. I'm the head guy. I do all the assessing, and we film every day and we work on your games. The amount of improvement is startling sometimes, how much better they get in 3.5 days. All the coaches are on the same board. They're on the same page as I am. But it's 35 or 36 people in that room, besides the 7 or 8 coaches that love bowling a lot. So we end up it's always about the experience, how much they enjoyed it, and then how much they got better. So the camps, so we've done 32 of them. It's we keep getting, the amount of repeats is off the chart. So I mean, it's my thing. It's hard to brag about it. When people come there, they say the same thing. You should talk about your camp more. My camp's pretty special. The only way to figure that out is to actually come to camp.
All right. Devon said, talk about the bowling talent that came out of your high school.
I went to Garden Grove High School in Garden Grove, California. I graduated in 1979. In my high school, we had 4 kids that could average 200 at the same time. Myself, a kid named Roger Taylor, Mike Dorio, and Jeff Gilchrist. Those 3 guys bowled at Wonderful Anaheim. I bowled at Champion. We all averaged 200. So if they'd have had a high school bowling team in 1979, 4-man team, back when 200 was a big deal, we actually had 4 guys in my high school could average 200. We had 2 girls, a girl named Smith and a girl named Donna, that could average 180. So I'm pretty sure we could have held our own against anybody. That was on, I averaged 215. That was, that was really high back in. I know that sounds like, I'm not a very good bowler, but 1979, that was a pretty good deal. So how much camp is $1,250, not counting your hotel room. And the rate, I think, for the next camps are like $55 plus the resort fee and plus tax. I have no control over that. So camp's $1,250. You get 3 900 global bowling balls. You get 8 meals, 2 shirts, and a ton of coaching.
There you go.
Kyle shows the way lanes were conditioned. That's a Steve Salzman. There's another blast from the past. Another guy I knew from the 80s who bowled a lot of tournaments, good bowler. It affected how they were done for Kyle. He won a tournament. He hadn't bowled very long. Super good athlete. Might have been one of the best athletes ever to bowl on tour. He could throw a football about 80 yards. He could hit a softball 50 feet. It was nuts. He got on TV in his second time and he won. And Chris Schenkel asked him what was the secret to success. And Kyle said, I just cut my wrist and throw it to the right. So all they did was change the lanes for the next about 10, 15 weeks. Right. That's the one thing you couldn't do. So when I went on tour, there was plenty, they changed the lanes for that for a while. But they're, Marshall Holman didn't have a problem making a living. He could throw it to the right pretty good. It didn't help Kyle. He was a very nice guy. Kyle Shedd, hell of a bowler.
Hey, Zarkov asks, what's missing from the bowlers here in California that's keeping them from being successful on tour?
They don't go on tour. You got to go out there and get your brains beat in for a couple years. I mean, it's a different world. There's no more tour like I bowled, so it's hard to get on tour. But most people go out there and bowl 1 or 2 weeks and quit. I went out there for the first 60 weeks, first 2 years, knowing I was going to get killed.
Right.
So I did. I mean, I did okay. I finished the top 40 one year, top 30 the next, and then I bowled pretty good. It takes about 2 years. You got to go out there and bowl. I mean, you got to bowl you got to bowl everything. That's the hard part. You got to bowl the 5 gamers, the 8 gamers, the regionals, the tour stops. The only way you get really good at bowling is bowling. So you got to go out on tour. And you got to, who don't bowl well, I'm one of those 3 guys watching how they bowl match play. And I figured out how to bowl watching those guys. Like, well, this is the 3 guys you got to beat. Mark, Marshall, and Earl are that much better than everybody else. So what do they do different than everybody else? So you go out there and you learn those things. But it took me a good 3 years to figure it out. So I think that's what's missing. And then you got to go on tour and you just got to, you got to get beat for a couple times. The guys that come out of college don't dominate the NFL the first year.
Right.
It takes them a few years. It's like the same thing in NFL. It's way faster. Well, the guys on tour, like you talk about Barnes, he played out. He throws 2 shots. He makes a 20-board move, switch balls, and shoots 250. You don't come on tour knowing how to do that, but you see him do it. Sooner or later, you try it and you figure it out. So the only way to learn is to go on tour.
Okay.
Do your students go away to college? Yes, pretty much every single one, Corinne. They all they all come back from college, and I try to work with the college coaches as much as I can. I don't get in their way. I mean, when you go to college, that's your coach. But if you come home and you're struggling a little bit, I know I work with Wesley Lowe every summer. He came over from Wichita State. I work with a lot of the players that go away to college and then they come back. I work with the girl I work with the most lately has been Raquel Orozco. She was a 3 or 4 time first team All-American in Nebraska. She was player of the year. I worked with her a bunch. I talked with Bill Straub when he recruited her. Then he went there and she had, unbelievably great career. And every summer she would come home and we would work on, I would find out what they were working on in Nebraska. We would just fine tune it to make sure when she got back to school, exactly what they wanted. And obviously her career, did really, really well. So I'm very proud of all my kids that do go to college. It's really, the scholarship money from the JVT and the JAT and smart money, and they go away to college and they can bowl and get a 4-year degree and not break their parents. Their financial, it's pretty cool stuff.
Hey, there you go. Hey, what would you say is your most successful moment in bowling or coaching? Either one.
Bowling was pretty easy. I was high average on tour in 1985. Being high average on tour means you don't have too many bad weeks. I was high average in the 12 previous years. Had either been Earl Anthony, Mark Roth, or Marshall Holman had been high average from 72 to 84. And then I bowled a good game. I bowled for the title in the Touring Players Championship. Shot 238 against my buddy Hughes. He shot 260. I needed a spare in the 10th to be high average on tour. If I double the 10th, that's high average by 0.01 or some small number. So I was high average. I mean, I had the highest average against all the best people. It was like Marshall, Pete, Roth, Webb. So I beat Murderers Row to be the high average on tour. So they can never, when they look at the top averages of all time, I'm the lowest average, and I'm the only right-hander not in the Hall of Fame who's ever won the high average award. So high average awards have always been really good bowlers. So I'm very proud to be in that group. As a coach, I've had so much. Whether it's coaching a kid that wins his first JAT, I know I've coached a kid named Cameron Chris and his brother Brandon when they won their first JATs or their first JBTs. When I see them at the next lesson, the look on their face is so. How can you beat that? I was on the lanes when Chris won his Triple Crown and won the World Championships, and I got to share that moment with him. And maybe how do you beat that? And I've been around Bill O'Neill when he's won, and Meekin when he's won big tournaments, Jason Couch when he's won tournaments. I work with Mike Fagan a lot when he's won a couple majors. So I got to be a little bit of that. Now, remember this. I didn't throw any shots.
Right.
All the guys were really, really good before I ever got to them. Chris had amazing coaches before I ever got involved with Chris. The Rick Benoits of the world and Pat Henry from Wichita State. Chris has had great coaching all his life. I just got to be a part of that. So watching those guys win on tour, watching when the men won the gold medal, when the men won the gold medal in the World Championships in 2017, that was the greatest performance of bowling for the clutch I'd ever seen. We were bowling. He made the medal round, and Tommy Jones really didn't have that good a look.
Right.
He goes anchor no matter what. Tommy throws the ball for all the money. I mean, the guys want Tommy to throw it, and we were losing to Colombia, and they beat us the first match. If we don't win this game, we get bronze. Tommy has to double to get to the next game. He doubles. Now we're bowling the rubber game, game 3. Tommy has to strike on the count ball to go to a roll-off. He strikes on the count ball. Now we're in the roll-off, and it's some convoluted roll-off. Everybody gets one shot, 5 guys. And we got it 1, then we get a 7 count. Now Tommy needs a strike when the roll-off. He strikes. Now we bowl Chinese Taipei. The first game he needs a strike to win. He strikes. The second game he needs a strike to win the gold medal. He strikes again. I had heard all these stories about Tommy Jones doing this, but I got to see it with my own 2 eyes. I'm still stunned by what he did because he just he wasn't really bowling good the other frames. But when the shot was on, Tommy just said, I'm just going to throw this ball in the pocket, and he did. Earlier that day, or I think the next day, I saw something I can't believe. Shannon O'Keefe, we made the medal round in the women's trios.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to us, Shannon was passing gallstones. So she had stones. And so she spent the whole night in the hospital. And that morning they told us she couldn't bowl. So we were going to forfeit. And then we look up, and here comes Shannon O'Keefe being carried in by Shannon Pulowski, and I can't remember who else, Stephanie Johnson. Stephanie Johnson. They were carrying her in. She came down. She didn't warm up. She had her eyes for trying to pass the stone were completely, she had broken all the capillaries in her eyes. Her eyes were blood red. She was shaking. She hadn't eaten, and she bowled, and we won the first match. And then she had the high game, and we won the gold medal. And then she went right back to the hospital. So I saw somebody come out of the hospital bed, win the gold medal, and go back to the hospital. So, Shannon, if you want to know if women bowlers are athletes, you don't need to see anything more than that. So that World Championship, getting to see that with Team USA, and I don't care who you are, when they play that song and you got a gold medal around your neck,
yeah,
it really gets to you. So I was very, very lucky. I'd like to thank Rod Ross for letting me go up. He's usually the head coach gets to go up for the medal ceremony. And the girls won the trio, and he's saying, the head coach goes up. I understand, Rod, no problem. He goes, I think this time you should go up. So I got to go on the stand when the gold medal, our national anthem was played with the gold medal around my neck. Pretty cool stuff. So I would say,
like you're getting choked up over there. Are you okay? You're not about to tear up on me, are you?
Well, I mean, it's pretty. I've been an athlete all my life. I've never missed an Olympics. My dad and I watched every Final Four together since I've been a little boy. We've done the basketball. We missed that this year. So sports has been an integral part of my life in the Olympics. Yeah. It's been the LA, the '84 Olympics came to Los Angeles and all the different things. So you always picture what it's like. The dream team. We just saw all the stuff with Michael Jordan and the dance on now, and they had those 30 for 30 about the dream team and how cool it is. I mean, I've had a very cool thing to travel all over the world. I never miss my flight coming home to the United States, man. I'm always the first guy on the plane getting home. I love where I live. I'm proud of where I live. And so when you get to put that gold medal around your neck and they play that song, it's emotional. So those, you can't take, how do you measure that? But like I said, but when I walk in to give lessons at Fountain Bowl, and one of my seniors walk up and they're holding that lead sheet, and they're showing me the recap the week before. What is it? In 30 years, I've never bowled a 200. I finally bowled my 200, and they start crying. How do you beat that? So how do you measure what's more important? So that's why coaching, I love it so much. I get to be part of all these different success stories. So I know I found my calling. This is really what I like to do. And then I've got to see my son win 2 JBTs. I mean, it was out of nowhere, and he wins them, and it's the coolest thing ever. And then I've been very lucky to win the PBA League 3 times. So that's it's bowling's been pretty good to me.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, what would you be consider your most memorable moment for you bowling? I have one. I've seen it, but for you, what do you feel like your most memorable bowling moment was?
Well, the fact that I didn't bowl for a long time, and I was never going to bowl again. And Gage talked me into bowling at JT last year, and as luck would have it, whatever the bowling gods have always, smiled at me. I bowled a 300 game with my son, who's never seen me bowl for real. So that was pretty cool. That's got to be right up there. Probably the most nervous I ever got. I bowled a special. Special needs special. I've never seen it. So I get the first 2, and I'll never the manager of the ball, and then whatever you throw it, somehow I guess that's pretty cool.
Hey, well, look, Bake, I'm not gonna hold you no more, dude. Like, you have been absolutely amazing. I appreciate your time today. I know our viewers appreciate you with all your stories and you coming on telling the story, man. So I just want to thank you. Uh-oh. Did I lose Bake? Bake is frozen. Are you there, Bake? Uh-oh. But guys, dude, like I said, that was Mark Baker, man. He's absolutely amazing.
Back on the lane sooner rather than later. I just miss, you and I each other really court. We're now.
Oh. Mark is going in and out.
Road. So I saw there.
Uh-oh. Hey, can you guys still see and hear me clear? Just give me a yes or no real quick. Bakes is frozen. I'm frozen? Oh. All right. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So, I don't know. Bake is out of commission right now. Uh-oh. Cool. Hey, guys, I don't know if – oh, there he goes. There you go, Bake. Dude. So, hey, besides –
all right?
Oh, yeah, we're good. We're still good.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're still good. So,
okay.
Bowling, coaching, why even just say, hey, I'm about to stop this bowling and I'm about to take this coaching on? Like, what's at the, just why?
I didn't go right to coaching from the tour. I quit in 90 and I started coaching full time about 11 years ago. I dabbled in coaching. I was pretty good at it, but I tried it before, but I didn't give it 100% effort. I got my life straightened out a little bit, and then I had a full-time job with Cal Bowling Supply, and I was doing coaching on the weekend, and it just got to be where the coaching was more fun. And then I gave it a shot. I had some friends help me out. Some good financial. I did some good planning on what I was going to do and different ways of doing it. And then it just became a thing that kind of snowballed. People want to get better, and I like people. I like giving lessons. I'm always up when I give lessons. I don't have too many bad days. I'm never quiet. I'm never down. I'm always pretty wound up tight. And it was a good mix for me. And I like the difference. I like the 140, then 210, then 160, then 230, and 180 skill sets. It makes me change gears real fast, and I'm pretty hyper. So I like that. And then I put together a real good business plan with my uncle's help and my dad's help. And I coach a bunch of different platforms, not just lessons. I do camps. I do clinics with Chris Barnes. I do individual lessons all over the state of California. I do the Wednesdays, the View Bowl League at Fountain Bowl. I do the House Pro lessons. Then every Saturday, Barry and I do the clinic that's only $10. So I get to a lot of different types of bowlers, a lot of different ways. And that keeps me busy and keeps my business running. And I wrote a book and I did a DVD. I worked really hard at it. And it's really done, it's done very well. I can't wait to get back on the lanes. And I'm getting emails every day from all my students or my people that I coach. Can't wait to get back out there. So obviously I'm doing something right. And I do enjoy it. I do like going to work. It makes a big difference.
And I know, yeah, you're absolutely right. And you and Barry Asher, you both were like, Brandon, when are you going to come see us? When are you going to come see? I know I don't come out that way. Bake, when you helped me out before, dude, like my game has went from there and it went high and now it's back down here again. So I do need to come see you again.
No problem. I mean, that's kind of how bowling works. I mean, that's kind of how I did it when I bowled. I would work with a couple of guys, different people, and you would get it going for 3 months, 6 months. And then invariably, whatever you were doing, you either do it too much or you don't realize you're not doing it as well. And then, bowling, the only time you go into a slump is after you bowl really, really well. If you're just bowling okay, you just bowl okay. Remember that slumps only happen after bowling really, really good because you've been bowling so good, everything else feels bad in comparison. So that's kind of how bowling works. There's a lot of ups and downs. It's very hard just to stay 192 every day the rest of your life. You're going to have times where it's super easy. You're making the ball changes. You're reading the lanes or you're guessing real well. Then no matter what you do is wrong. So sometimes having another set of eyes, another way of talking about it, or a lot of times you'll be thinking you're doing a certain thing and then I'll film it and you're going, oh, that's not my issue. This is my issue. So a lot of times the filming and having another set of eyes, people start working on what they think they're doing wrong. And very rarely is that the wrong thing. Most bowlers come to me saying their timing's bad. First thing I do is film them. No, your timing's not bad. Your lateral spine tilt's moving. your head's moved at the foul line, your 2-bar, there's all a million things. But bowlers tend to think they know why they're struggling and they fix it themselves. That is called a slump. When bowlers start fixing themselves, they tend to struggle. So usually what coaching is me just explaining a little different. And they always say the same thing. Wow, I'm not throwing it as bad as I thought. No, it's just a little bit of a mindset. A lot of it's playing the lanes. So that's why a coach is so helpful. I mean, the thing that I have to build quickly in 2 or 3 lessons is trust. If I can get you to, get that trust, then obviously, then I become your guy. That's when I know, hey, I take lessons from Baker. I take lessons from Baker. Baker is my coach. And my goal is to go from being the guy you take lessons from to being your coach, because I am invested. I do care how you bowl. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because, man, when I was throwing the ball good, I was like, damn, this feels good coming off my hand. I was like, thank God for Baker. Oh.
Then you've got to take that feel and you got to run with it and blow everything you can until it goes away. And that's kind of what Tommy Jones does. He just goes on these runs and then he gets stuck and then we work together. He sends me a video because I know his game so well. And we talk about it and he gets me on the phone. He starts telling me what he feels and I tell him what I see. And then he practices and sends it back. And it's always the same thing. Yeah, I got it, Bakes. I'm good. Thanks. And then the next thing you know, he wins again.
Yeah.
So Tommy,
No. Uh-oh. He's going in and out again. DP, I'm trying to get your question in, D.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Bake, you frozen. Bake is frozen. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying, brother. Let's see. We can kick back. Hey, I'm trying to get your question in there, though, D. Hopefully he can come back. Man, but hey, I appreciate all you guys coming on. Seriously, shooting your questions. Mark Baker is, like I said, if you guys are down here, if you guys could take a trip down here, he is one of those guys to fix that fixture game. Like I said, he has that eye that you don't have, or that a lot of us don't have. So, guys, Monday, dude, y'all been waiting. Monday, I have DeJuan Clark coming on. DeJuan Clark. President. Oh, here you go, Bake. We back.
Yep, I relogged in.
There you go, Bake.
High tech for me.
Hey, it's not high tech, man. Cut it out. Hey, but my guy here, DP asks, would you ever be interested in coaching a clinic in Michigan? Uh-oh. There he goes. Alfred, let me see.
I've done some clinics in Michigan. We've done them at 10. I've done them where I am.
Let me see.
Yeah, the DP to do a clinic in Michigan, you need to be able to do at least 3 or 4 clinics in a 3 or 4 day period. That way, it makes financial sense for Chris and I to come out. To just do a 1-day clinic is pretty expensive. So yes, we would be interested. It's just a matter of making it all work. Obviously, Michigan has a lot of bowlers.
There you go. All right. Well, Bake, dude, hey, I appreciate your time. Uh-oh. Did you freeze on me again? Bake he's frozen again. No, I don't see your question, Alfred. Oh. Hey, Bake, let's see. Somebody had a question for you, but I didn't see it. But Bake, hey, I'm not gonna hold you no longer. It seems like the internet services don't want to be friends right now. But hey, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your stories.
All right, I really enjoyed that. Thanks, Brandon.
your knowledge and everything, man. It's been absolutely an honor. And when we get back to bowling, I will come see you for sure.
I look forward to it, Brandon, and thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
All right, Mark. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, everybody. See you guys on the lane soon.
Yeah, there you go. Guys, that was my buddy, man, Mark Baker. He is, like I said, he's helped me tremendously throughout my bowling career. Like I said, Monday, DeJuan Clark, be ready because I know the questions are coming. You know the questions are coming. But besides TNBA President DeJuan Clark being here on Monday, he has a lot of knowledge. He's been around the bowling scene for a long time. So besides TNBA questions, ask him questions about bowling back in the day. DeJuan has a lot of knowledge, guys. So, like I said, Monday, 6 p.m., DeJuan Clark, President of TNBA, will be here live on Going Live with Bowtie. Y'all be ready. But hey, I thank you guys for tuning in with myself and Mark Baker. And hey, you guys have a great weekend. For all my mothers out there, happy Mother's Day, man. Thank you, mothers, for all that you guys do. I truly, truly, truly love you guys for everything, man. So make sure you guys hug, kiss, cook, whatever you got to do for your mom. Because, without them, we wouldn't be here. Trust and believe. But, guys, I love you guys. And have a happy weekend. All right? Hey, Bowtie out. Peace.